it was through our church.
Mm-hmm.
It was through our church that I was able to meet my other half. So obviously our church didn't tell me to marry her, but if it wasn't for the fact that our church was there, I wouldn't go there, she wouldn't come there. So we also thank our church as well.
Yeah.
So we through our church that we met together.
That's beautiful because I have another book I've written, 28 Places to Find a Life Partner. And one of and church is one of them. And there's a lot of pros and cons when you consider church, because a lot of times we have similar core values together. You get to know the person before you even approach the person. That is one thing about church. You already know who, to a degree, who the person is. They love children, they don't love children, they want to do the people. That's one beautiful thing about picking from church. You get to know to some degree what the person is like, and before you approach, because we are a community. Although 40% of all marriages were arranged by friends in today's world.
Wow.
Yeah, that is part of my matchmaking model. Friendship is powerful, and we'll talk more about that. Yeah, so that's awesome.
That's how I met her. So you wanna say?
Yes.
We actually crossed paths about 2 years before I actually officially started going to the church.
Okay.
He was taking photos at, we went to a Pentecost event, a church event, because I used to go to their youth events, and he was taking photos there. And so years later, I think he came across a picture that he took and I was in it. And then that's when we realized we had actually crossed paths beforehand.
Wow.
Yes.
So who gave you right to go to Pentecost church?
I know, so for Kwame, I was there in the tree services. I wouldn't understand what they're saying, but I still used to go.
You are something else, I'm telling you. So you have been in our neighborhood for a while,
For a long time.
before you grab the person. Wow. So my next question is, what attracted you to each other?
What attracted me to her was one of the things that I was always asking God for is for someone to be in my life where that person doesn't draw me away from my faith. One of the things that drew me to her is her how strong she is in her faith in God. The things she was doing at church, I could see it. I could tell that this is not a lady who doesn't read the word. And I said to God, if I want somebody that will keep me still grounded in my faith, and I saw that in her. It's one of the main things that I tried into her. So that was from a soul perspective, characteristics perspective. But obviously also she's a beautiful woman as well. So that was also another attraction that got me.
Wow. When you saw her, you said, this beauty, I'm not gonna let anybody grab this.
I said how can we the men sit in our church and let somebody come from somewhere and come and take it away? It was never gonna happen.
Wow, that is so significant. That is awesome. Thank you so much for that. I was saying. That's so. How about you? Oh, even I have forgotten your name though.
Okay, Courtney.
Courtney. So Miss Courtney, tell me what attracted you to him, Courtney.
So I would say we were friends first. So that was a key part. Like you said, although we went to the same church, you could go to the church and not know somebody.
Yeah.
But we were friends first. And so I knew his character. I observed his growth spiritually, emotionally, and all the rest of it. And I think one of the key traits that I saw was the humility that he had.
Wow.
And so when you have humility, it gives you the growth, the ability
amazing.
to grow. So those were the main things for me. He has faithfulness, he's committed, he's gentle, but he's humble.
Wow.
So that was
that's a full package. That's a package.
It is.
That's a package. That's a real package. Yeah. When Adam saw Eve, he first says, you are the bone, before he says you are the flesh. Say, you are the bone of my bones, the content, the inside first, before he was moved by the outside.
Oh, that's good.
And both of you are describing how the inside moved you first. And then you talk about the outside. In today's generation, it is the outside first, it's the physical attraction first. And then later on, they get confused because sometimes it doesn't match with what they experience later on. You know, so that's amazing. So this question goes to Ms. Courtney. Have you seen, I know that all of us come from Africa, Zimbabwe and Ghana. Do you see any cultural differences?
Yes, there's cultural differences. I think not even just in terms of Southern versus West Africa. I think in my culture, in terms of, you know, my family upbringing in Zimbabwe, to lay a foundation, how the culture is in Zimbabwe is that you have the native African Black people, and then you have the white community, the Caucasians, who were the colonizers that came over from the UK. And then you have a very large community of Indians.
Okay.
That also come over to colonize. And all those people obviously mixed together, and they actually formed a whole new community, which is very rare for a country of mixed race people.
I see.
We refer to as colored. So that's the group that I grew up in. And so my culture, as much as it is very Zimbabwean, it also has a lot of influences of the Indian culture.
I see.
British culture as well. So it's a mesh of different things coming together for a fully packaged African man.
Okay. Wow. So 1 second, before Junior, you talk, let me send Edna come up here. I'm telling Edna to come. Okay. So in terms of Courtney, in terms of the way we marry in Ghana and family dynamics in Ghana and family dynamics as you went to Ghana and your country, is there any differences?
Yes, there is. So for example, I think the Ghanaian community holds higher the traditional engagement over the white wedding, for example. That's one thing. Whereas we do something called the lobola. But again, that's the very, very traditional Zimbabweans, which is not in my culture, so to speak. So there was that in terms of the wedding, and how that even took place is very different in comparison to how we do ours. Honestly, ours is a lot more, if we were to do the traditional Zimbabwean lobola, it's very dark and very money driven. Whereas I found that the Ghanaian one was actually very beautiful. I really enjoyed it.
Wow. That's amazing. Another thing to you, Courtney, when you look at as a Zimbabwean, is that how you say it?
Yes.
You were born in UK?
No, sir.
Oh, really? Okay, so how old were you when you came to UK?
I was 11 years old.
Okay, so 11, you're almost a year, you know, you are almost there. So UK, as somebody who came to UK at 11 years old, compared to somebody who your age but live in Zimbabwe, is that the same culture?
No.
It's different, right?
It's different, yes.
Yeah. So Junior, how will you as a person, do you see a difference between your group who live in Ghana and those who have traveled? Do you feel like in other words, when you traveled, have you seen any changes in terms of mindset?
Yeah, for me, my there's been a huge change in mindset. I mean, she came into England when she was 11. I came when I was 17 or 18.
Okay.
So the Ghana way of thinking, the Ghana way of understanding initially was all over me when I came to England, right? But with time and the environment that I was in, and also the church that I went to, I was able to think beyond my culture. I was able to think beyond.
Yes, come in, Edna. Yes, okay. Please, once again. Yes, go ahead.
I was able to,
actually, hold on. Edna, come. Close it comes. Oh no, close the door. Come see my brother in UK. His name is Junior. You see?
Hello, you okay, Edna? All right.
His wife is from Zimbabwe. Can you imagine? He went all to pick a lady from there. See? And so it is. And they are nice people, Zimbabwe people. Because last year I was in Greensboro doing a marriage seminar, and I saw one Zimbabwe lady. I said, "You people, you are taking over our people." She said, "Yeah, but we are nice people." And I said, I said, "That is what it is." We had good fun. Yeah. So, Junior, you have adjusted with acculturation wise.
Yeah. So I was saying, yeah, correct. So I came with a Ghana mindset, but over the years, when I came to England, I did not integrate with the Ghanaian society. I don't know why. It just wasn't me. I didn't integrate with the Ghanaian society. I just integrated people that were not Ghanaians.
Yeah.
When I went to university here, so my mindset really changed a lot to say that I'm definitely going to marry a Ghanaian. That's it. Nobody else. That never. Yeah, it changed. It changed completely. So,
Oh, wow.
I didn't think like that at all.
Yeah.
I just thought whoever comes my way comes my way.
Yeah.
And with that, probably I'm getting ahead of myself. So with that, I did at the back of my mind know that how my family structured may not be as straightforward. But I just realized, look, I can't be too hard on myself. I just go as God leads. So yeah, my mind did change.
Yeah. You know, we have our negotiables and our non-negotiables. As far as the person is a child of God, that is non-negotiable. But it's negotiable as to where the person come from in the country. And in dating, we need to talk about negotiables, non-negotiables, deal breakers and deal makers, and how that all fall into it. So let's talk about is birth order or gender a potential problem for choosing from another country?
For me, no. It's not, even if I was in Ghana, I don't think that would be a problem for me. From a cultural perspective, from a Ghanaian cultural perspective, my Shanti man perspective, I don't think that if that mindset was there, I never experienced it because my dad's first child was a female, so I never saw him say, "Oh no, I was looking for a man."
So how about family reaction if you were the only child from your family?
If I was the only child in my family?
Yeah, and how would the family react to this type of dynamics?
Well, look, already the fact that I'm not the only child, there was a different reaction. So if I was the only child, it may have been the double trouble or double bangers.
That would be no problem. Yes, because birth order or gender from culture causes more problem, not from your end, but from the family. You know, like he's my only son, like she's my only daughter, you know, and this, you know, and this is, yeah, situations. Okay, so let's talk about introduction. Because that's part of the problems people face when they're going to marry from another culture. How do they even introduce? How do they even start? How does that work? What are the fears? That the challenges? Will I be received? Where do we start? Tell me your journey of your introduction.
Maybe I'll start. So, because mine is probably more complicated. So, for me, as I say, being a Ghanaian and being an Ashanti man and how strong family ethics are for my culture and how our parents in the specific generation think, I knew that because she wasn't Ghanaian, it wasn't going to be a walk in the park, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
So the journey was that I was going to go in full guns blazing. My mindset was, I don't care who likes my, potential wife or not, whether she's Ghanaian or not. Although I knew that was going to be an issue, I went in full force with no turning left to right, tunnel vision, and saying that this is who I'm bringing, whether you like it or not. In Ghana, they would say, "Opa, opa, kwanekwashipo." But it's basically, if you like, go and burn the seed. So that was my mindset. But yeah, it wasn't pretty at the start. I wasn't
Well, pretty.
typically with the immediate family. So the journey was very, it wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to be from my perspective.
It was a long one, I guess.
Yeah.
It was a long journey. So, because that is one huge area that causes a lot of stress. So, Courtney, from the beginning, from the dating, even from the dating, all the way going, when the two of you first recognize, I think we are going to be, God is putting us together. Did you allow nature to develop its own course as to letting families see that the two of you are moving this direction? Or did you intentionally say, so how are we going to tell? So will Linda see? Will somebody see? What are they saying? How am I going to do this? How am I going to tell Auntie Age what is this? So how were you processing this? Even Junior may not be aware. How were you processing all that?
I think for us from the beginning, we made a decision that we're going to get to know each other first before we involve other parties.
That's good.
My mum was involved, I would say, quite early on, because my mum is a seeing woman, so I couldn't even hide it from her. She already knew that he liked me before he even asked me out. But she didn't interfere, so to speak. But she was involved, and she was very accepting of him because she knew his character, like you said, with church. But we intentionally said that we would keep it between us, and so that we can give each other time to get to know each other before the formal introductions. And I think to a degree, it was only respectful that you bring, this is just my personal opinion, that you bring somebody to the house, to the family, who you're serious about, and you know that there's definitely a future for. So I think the way when he went to Ghana and then he went to tell dad first, that's how it started. He went to Ghana to tell dad first. And for me, when he came back and he explained that he told dad and he had basically put his foot down, that gave me peace.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
To know you have the parents' blessing, because you want to have the parents' blessing.
That is super. That is very, very, very super. So Junior, for your dad, it wasn't difficult, was it?
No, so for my dad, it wasn't difficult. Because with my dad, I knew that my dad is a different, although he's an African man, there's room to feed information to him and for him to absorb it. So I knew that if I could get my dad on my side, it would make life easier for me and for the wider family. So that was the reason why I told my dad first. I called him on the phone and said, Dad, there's someone I'm seeing. That's something that you need to get made aware of, is the fact that she's not Ghanaian.
How was his immediate reaction?
He paused for a bit on the phone. He didn't talk straight away. And then I think this is probably the second time that I have sort of put in his mind that.
Oh, okay. So he
I sort of fed it like a drip slowly to him.
Yeah, so he was ready.
Well, I sort of fed it to him slowly. I just dropped in the conversation. Dad, I'm 27. Okay. Okay, Dad, let's talk about stuff. Okay, Dad, man, by the way, she's not Ghanaian. Okay, Dad, by the way, I will marry her. You know, I fed it to him slowly. His reaction was, okay, if you think that is who you like, you think you like a character, give it some time. So that was his reaction.
Yes.
Majority of the time. So that, which maybe I'm jumping ahead of myself with Pastor Kwame here.
No, that's okay.
Because if you remember Pastor Kwame, when I came to support, or when you were, it happens to be, thank you God, that Pastor Kwame was in England when things were happening. But if you spoke to everybody, when you spoke to my dad, what we spoke to in the car, that conflict with, how the two had to agree.
Yeah, that had to come together. So, Courtney, let me say this. And the reason why this is significant is because if you compare Nigerians to Ghanaians, Nigerians have broken through this thing here. We are still not yet. We are not. Okay. We are not close. Okay. So if you look at Nigerians, they have married from different white, blacks, and there are so many of them, and it's beautiful. Ghanaians are a little slow. You know, we are. When I was a child, there was a song that goes like, "Far away country, I will never marry far away country. I will never marry from far away country." Okay, so yeah. I heard that song. I say, you know, and so recently somebody said, "Let me give you the rationale behind the song." I said, "Tell me." He says, many years ago, there was no car, no bicycle, nothing. So even in Milton Keynes, if you live in Milton Keynes and you marry from London, it's far away. Because if something happened, they can't walk. They can't. Even Milton Keynes, the next door, the next city, is far away. The next city, 10 miles is still far away because they cannot walk. And I said, that makes sense why they say they can do that, because in many ways, yeah. But in general, we are slow. So let me ask this. Language barrier in terms of family. In terms of family, how does it bring stress? Does it bring challenges for marrying from a different culture? How do you see that, Kwame?
I think we just came back from Ghana. So I met a lot of the family, and I could tell, bless them, some of them were really trying with the English.
Yes.
And yeah, it was funny, you know. The Obroni is here. Let's try and speak a little bit of English. And I was in the process of learning, and I think it's important to have that.
What is it? Obroni is so funny.
Oh yeah, everywhere, Obroni. So I'm learning. I'm trying to learn. And you know, I still make an effort to make sure that I do communicate, especially with mom.
You have done amazing work. You have done amazing work. You are learning the language. That's incredible.
Yeah, and I think something like respect transcends language. So if you display respect and you display certain characteristics, it will always be communicated, just like disrespect can be communicated. And so for me, it was important that we go to each other's countries and go to Ghana to extend. It wasn't just a trip to say I'm coming to meet, but it was like an extension to say that I'm not going to take away from your culture. I'm interested in your culture.
Wow.
And I want to invest in, you know, your culture as well.
So was that how you were able to break the language barrier, I think, or the challenges that came with the fact that, you know, obviously we don't speak the same language, and being able to deal with the in-laws? Was that what you think?
That was one way, but also just communicating with mom. Just
how though?
Sending my small tree sentences to mom, voice notes, and you know, little messages like that to try and learn. But of course, it can be more difficult than if you both speak the same language.
Yeah, because I want to probe further here, because two major areas: the introduction and the language. So regarding the introduction, Kadni, if you were to advise somebody who is going to marry from another country, from your experience, what are some of the things you can share with the person to make the introduction less stressful for the person and the family?
One of the things that was good in my case is that I think that Junior actually protected me from a lot of stuff. Yeah, he did. He intentionally protected me from a lot of stuff. So I wasn't fully aware. I was aware, but I wasn't fully aware of some of the stuff that may have been happening or said in the background.
Yeah.
Which helped. And that might not be everybody's situation. Sometimes
exactly.
It's very much in your face.
Yes.
But to the Christian, I would say one thing that will help is pray about it, because prayer can definitely change things.
Mm.
But when you go into that, like I said, there's another girl that I'm currently speaking to. She's actually also from Zimbabwe, but her potential other half is from Nigeria.
Wow.
She's having trouble. She's having a little bit of a different situation in that
You see?
first the family accepted her, but now they don't want him to marry her. They don't think that she's good enough for him. And
Wow.
so one of the things I said is you just have to let your character continue to speak.
Wow. Continue to speak. Because for you, two things were your credit. Junior protected you, but the family type kind of knew you. A lot of credit. You know, I remember Age says, she's fabulous. Before I get to know you, Age said that the lady, the issue has nothing to do with her. It's just the country she come from. I could just give it to me like that. She just gave it to me. So I had that day there with me. She said, Kwame, she's good. She was even my friend. It's just the country. So I said, wow. So that she's good was a powerful thing in the background.
Yeah.
You know, like Ruth, when she met Boaz, Boaz said, the whole town about you. Oh, I feel the anointing of God. So the whole town is talking about that. Overcame accent, color, country, culture, everything else that potentially would be a problem, because the integrity in town, the message in town was amazing. So let's talk about that. So if that wasn't the case, what is the best scenario? And I know that since you didn't go through that, but what are some of the things we can say to, beside prayer and character, what other ways can you recommend? For me, for example, I say to people, I said, when you are going to approach the family, find someone who has acculturated to talk to. First, do some background work, because we are acculturating in different pace, different speed, different reaction, different ways. So find somebody in the family, like for example, if it is Junior, you find somebody, and I happen to be in London at the time that the war was about to get started. And I happen to be in that London, you know, so, but find somebody who has acculturated and who can be a mediator. Okay. Yes. You can see that to work through, because that is very, 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 very significant. And even my mother in Amsterdam, because she has lived for a long time, her acculturation is different. You know, it's different because she has, if compared to somebody who had lived in Ghana for all her life, it will not be the same mindset. So you need to have a family to do that. And I think, Junior, what do you think?
Yeah, for anyone who is in this position and want to understand how to deal with it, to me, I think Konya said prayer and all of that is 100% key, is number one. From a practical standpoint, find somebody either in the family or if you go to church, that's a plus, somebody that you trust. That will be the mediator between yourself and the family. Because when you go direct, there's going to be fireworks and nobody's going to listen to each other. And find somebody that you trust, somebody that's trustworthy and wise. Don't just find any Tom, Dick, and Harry. Find somebody who's wise. And in my situation, I was privileged to have someone like Pastor Kwame, who happens to be there at the time, who helped with the conversation and trying to bring both sides together. Try to reason on your side and also reason on the other side and bring the two reasons together and find a common ground. So I think if you can find someone like that, that will really help, because I'll be honest here, I even didn't sleep in my house on that day. I slept in my car.
You slept in your car one night.
Yeah, I slept in my car because it was that bad. Because they say that, oh, she's not going in. I said it doesn't matter, and we were clashing heads there. So if you can find somebody that can sort of, be the, for lack of a better word, the referee.
Yes,
right?
the referee. Yes,
To create control between the two.
Yes.
Somebody who's wise, God-fearing, I would say. Again, a typical example would be Pastor Kwame coming in to do that level of support and work. I think if you could find someone like that, it would really help.
That is so cool to recognize finding a person in that situation to bring, because like you said, when I met with your mom, she and I talked, and for the first, maybe because I'm a counselor, for the first minutes, I didn't say anything. All that I told her is, I understand how you feel. Yeah. It's the country. Because far away country, I will never marry is the song that, he sang. That was a song that he sang that song a long time, and so you don't sit down to argue with a family member, but you try to show empathy and understand where they're coming from. And sometimes when you show a lot of empathy, they come to the end of a dead end where they have nothing else to say. Sometimes as you listen and you talk and you let people, they come to a point and then they may say something like, but if that is what he wants to do, when that is spoken, go for it, my friend. Don't wait. Just with that sentence, go with that, because that is your green light to go with, and I think that is what happened. So Courtney, let's go back to the introduction. And Junior, that's what you just said is so powerful. Let's go back to the introduction. So the two of you have met, or the people like you have met, and you like each other, you love each other, you want to marry. We don't know whether family will react or not. We don't know. For now, we don't know. Where do you begin the introduction? And for you also, you were in the same church, so siblings can read some signs. Where do you begin the introduction? Do you go to pastor? Do you go to friends? Do you go to siblings first? What are some of the things that the two of you, let's discuss that. What's the best way? Because I know some situations where he didn't introduce her to the family. I think he waited too long. I was going to ask Courtney how long is too long. He waited too long. So by the time he decided to introduce, the family had been waiting for a long time and they got tired. Whether they like it or not, you still have to do the official thing. And he didn't do the official thing. And it had crossed some waiting period. So Courtney, what do you think? 2 years, 1 year, 6 years, 10 years, 35 years? What are we talking about? What are the numbers?
I would say by 2 years. I think we waited. We had COVID in between.
Okay.
We had COVID. We started dating in 2019, and then we had COVID 2020.
My goodness.
2021 was a bit of a timing here. So by 2022, I think the official introduction started. So we waited a long time, and I wouldn't advise everybody to go through that. I think it's better to do it earlier on. I would have actually preferred, like in our case, for example, Cheryl found out before we could tell her.
Exactly, that's my point.
Cheryl found out before we could tell her, which that wasn't the way that I wanted it to be. So yes, I would say with our introduction, what was the order we went through? What was the order?
Introduction to the family or
just in general, which introductions do we do first? I think we did introduction first with our church leaders.
Yeah.
First.
Okay.
He's showing interest, I'm showing interest,
Yes.
And they know each other's characters. So we went to them first, and then my mom knew, and my dad not yet.
Yeah.
My dad not yet. And then Then next after that was your dad.
Yeah.
And then after your dad, it was the sisters, I guess the siblings you would call it. Cheryl and them, Townsend sisters.
Cheryl, Marina, Auntie Agnes, Ida, maybe. Ida as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So you went through church and then you came to, and then siblings pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
So that place, it has already been picked up. So it's like, it's too late for you to even, it's already done. Unofficially, it's gone. So it's done unofficially. Done. Wow. So that is how it happened for you. Yeah. So I encourage people, church, somebody in the family, talk to, and like Junior went to Ghana and talked to dad, make sure that you have done that. Because one of the problems that I see, and if it's okay for you, one day I'd like us to do this on Facebook Live. And then we will pick up some of the things that we are comfortable with. Because if you don't understand the culture, okay. I remember Junior was talking about engagement, and I said, what do you mean? Which one? Which is which? About the knocking. You're talking about after the knocking, we're talking about the Caucasian engagement. Which one are we talking about right here?
I know
So we need to find a way to work that culture, and so that you mitigate challenges and you manage it very well. So let's move on. And how did you talk about these reactions with each other when Junior went to the fight and Junior could not say, hey, this thing is bigger than me. I'm telling you, this is heavy. How did you all talk about it, June?
I don't think so. Thank you for that, Pastor, for that question. I think at that time, as I say, I was trying to protect her as much as possible. I didn't want her to be stressed, and I didn't want her to think that my family hates her or anything like that. I didn't want to bring that into her picture at all. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have sort of given her some background or some overview or something of that nature, maybe not into detail. But at that time, I personally, this is a personal choice, I decided that I'm not going to let her know. Let me deal with the situation, and then all she needs to worry about is the fact that it's done, ready to meet my mom or whoever, right?
Yeah.
So that's as I didn't tell her. Now I could be completely wrong here.
So now, how will you advise somebody?
Yeah.
What were your concerns? Why?
Right. So my concerns was that she would resent my family.
Exactly.
And my concerns with that she would think my family doesn't like her, but which is not the case.
These two things are critical.
Yeah, because I know that my family is a good family.
Exactly.
It's just a situation that they don't understand. So I didn't want there to be, oh, I'm beefing my mother because of you. No. That's why I did that. But at the same time, I could have said to her, look, we're facing some level of challenges here. There's nothing for you to worry about. We're dealing with it, so that she has some closure. So
right.
The reason why I did what I did in the past was that. But going forward, I would say if that should happen to you, wherever you are, wherever you are, think about the fact that she also needs to have closure, right? Communicate it to her in a way that will not let her resent your family or hate your mom or your dad or your whoever it is that you had to beef with. But speak to her in a way that to give her understanding there's a little bit of challenge here, but we'll get through it. And we have someone like Pastor Kwame with us who is helping mediate this. So she will have a closure what's happening, but not to the point where she will have to develop that level of.
That is so key, because, and if I put myself in your shoes, Junior, I don't know what I would do myself too, because I don't want somebody I truly love to have a different thought concerning my mother, and to resent my mother, because I don't know how she's going to process it. Will she think I'm hiding something from her? Will she think I'm not telling her the truth? Will she think, what would she, I remember even Courtney, hey, by the time you took me to the restaurant, that restaurant, when I come back to London, I want to go back there. That was, that was a very nice restaurant. I know it's expensive, but Junior, that was a good treat. You know, but I said, hey, it has, so Courtney, I don't know what I remember. I told you it has nothing to do with you. How did you receive that? Did you have second thought? Did you think it's different than that?
I think I understood that it's not me. I
Yes.
understood the situation at that point, that it's not necessarily me. And I think that's important for people to understand. You said something on those lines earlier that you have to not make it personal, so to speak, that this is not a me situation. And you have to understand that person or that generation, maybe even mindsets and where they're coming from. And so that empathy piece is key for this, so that you can just show grace even in that situation, as difficult as it may be.
That is so powerful. You can preach that, sister. You can show grace, because one of the, I think for Auntie Abena, one of her concerns that got to me. So Kwame, I don't speak English. That thing really got to me. Then I turn around. Edna doesn't speak Chi. As I said, my sister, Edna doesn't speak Chi. So what are you going to do?
Wow.
Esther doesn't speak Chi. God doesn't speak Chi. What are you going to do? Then we all sat there.
Wow.
Life is changing. And we have these kids. Maybe they will speak it 2 or 3. And that's it. But character, God-fearing, the love of God. This is all. I just feel like broken. I feel like crying. I feel like what God can do is amazing. You know. So if you are watching us today, I'm just saying it is all because of the supremacy of Jesus, the Spirit of God, and prayer, Spirit of God. A lot of our family are Christians. In fact, in UK, all of us, you know, God called me early, and when I heard about Junior, and can Linda preach in the church? Can you imagine Linda is preaching? It's incredible. Junior is a deacon, you know. So it is this Spirit of God that is moving the family, that continues to make things easier. Jesus was right. Of course, he said, for my burden is light and my yoke is easy. With God, the burdens becomes lighter and the yokes become easier. The other questions here, I think everything is here is great. So, Courtney, what will be your last advice to someone who is going to marry from another country? Hey, what happened? Let me see.